बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। अल-वाहिदुल कहार। अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत यारी। तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत यारी। Ya Maulay Meherban, this humble slave, this humble servant is not able to do anything, Maula, without your help. Ya Maula, this Nachis, insignificant slave of you, Maula, asks for your help, Maula. Be with me, Maula, so I can help my friends online, Maula, and give them the answers to their questions which they have in their heart, Maula. Ya Maula, be the noor on my tongue, Maula. Ya Maula Meherban, Tawfiq, Taeed, Himmat, Yari. Tawfiq, Taeed, Himmat, Yari. Today we will talk about Amal. When we had started to talk about 23 hours of preparation, we had talked about zikr. When we do zikr abundantly, we keep our mind occupied with the zikr instead of any other thoughts, any other worldly thoughts. And when we keep repeating it in our heart, what happens? Our thoughts are controlled. And zikr in this way helps us in improving of our amal. However, we do need to talk about amal to understand it. In today's life, the way we live our life, the challenges we have to really make sure that we are watching our deeds. In order to be near to Imam, to be close to Imam, to be in love with Imam, we have to purify ourselves from inside out. And for that, we do need to talk about this simple topic. Some may think this is a simple topic, we already know it all. Why do we need to talk about it? But when we talk of preparation during 23 hours, we do need to talk about our amal. So we know exactly what are our flaws, where we need to improve ourselves. Remember, each one of us is different. Everyone's challenges are different from each other. So when these general lectures are delivered, what we are doing when we are listening, we are reflecting in ourselves. We are trying to identify what are those hindrances, what are those flaws, bad habits, whatever we have, which is keeping us getting close to our Mawla. When we are not conscious, what happens? Shaitan comes into our heart and starts distracting us. It takes us away from the thoughts of Mawla. And the way Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, Imam has said that Shaitan actually studies us. How do we think? What are our flaws? And then it gives us bazi, traps, based on our weaknesses. That is why we have to be so critical of ourselves. Whatever our thoughts are, it is only known by us. And if we are able to identify where are we at fault, we can catch it and improve it. So before Shaitan puts a trap on us, we are able to identify it and stop it. So let's talk about a little bit more in detail of this. With your permission, I would say that when we are able to experience the miracle of zikr, repetition of zikr abundantly, if a shaitan gives us a thought, what happens at the moment? What you think? Something happens in our life, and what we say, we have to tell it to Imam, and we tell it to Imam. And I mentioned this last time too, but it is important that we are expected to share everything with Maula Baba. The reason is when you tell it to Maula, you are submitting yourself to your Maula, you are telling your difficulties, and you're seeking his help. But sometimes you don't get answers. And at that time, it is not Iman's weakness, as actually somebody had asked this question. When we have some problem and we need resolution, it is okay to talk to somebody who you trust, like-minded person, non-judgmental, to solve that problem. Our religion is logical religion. So nobody is saying that do not ask for help and resolve the issue. It is very important that whatever issues you are having, it has to be resolved. So you are not stuck. When you are stuck, and that's what Shaitan picks it up, and it keeps repeating that movie, that thought in your mind constantly. So in order to break that cycle, it is very important to accept that we are humans and we have problems, and it is okay to share with your brother or sister who you trust, who are non-judgmental, who are walking on the same path, so you can resolve it. When you're able to resolve it, you actually took away the power from Shaitan. It's a very small thing. But if we don't do this, Shaitan has power over us. A moment's habit is to be with sabr, always in patience. Dasgirya, zari, dua, tasbih, zikr. Seeks Maula's help. When he wakes up, he truly intends, he truly decides that today I will not commit any sins. That's how I will watch myself. And then starts getting busy with his zikr, seeking forgiveness, and goes back to his ward and does what he needs to do. There was a time, a guy, a companion of Prophet Muhammad, he came to Prophet Muhammad telling him that I would like to share about one of our companions. He is doing such a wrong thing that you need to know about it, so you can take actions against it. Prophet Muhammad stops him there and there. He says, stop it, do not tell me. And he says, I need to let you know so you know what's going on behind your back. He says, Prophet Muhammad says that if you tell me about this person, and if it is true, you are doing ghibat in front of me. And if whatever you are telling me is not true, you are blaming somebody of the wrong deed. In Urdu we say ilzam lagana. In both the situation, you are committing sin and you are making me a companion of your sin. I would like us to, it was a factual thing that a person was doing wrong, but Prophet Muhammad stopped him from saying it to him. Despite of it, that was the truth. If we have any information about anybody, if it is right or wrong, we have no right to share it to anybody. Ghibat is when somebody talks bad about somebody. Our Imam has said that it is like you are eating the murda bhai ka gosht kha rahe ho. You're eating the dead meat of your own brother. Can you imagine how gross it is? How many of us unconsciously gets involved into doing it? In life, we do have problems around us. There are situations, there are issues, we got to deal with it.
If you feel, if you are becoming a Momin is Salik. A Momin who walks on the straight path is called Momin is Salik. When a Momin starts walking on the straight path, he is very critical of himself. No reasons or no stone he will leave unturned, so Shaitan can take away all his earning. Therefore, you have to find a ways of taking whatever is bothering you outside your heart. If you like to write it down, but deal with it, whatever it's bothering you. In Ginan, our peers have said, Eji dithra dosh bhai kisi ko na dije. Dithra dosh, meaning you're able to see that this person is at fault and it is wrong, but you will not say it from your tongue. Sometimes we rationalize. You know what? I am telling you the truth. Even if it is the truth, please do not share. We have no right to talk behind anybody's back. Peer says, Eji dithra dosh bhai kisi ko na dije, to anditha kyun kar dije? If our teachings by our peers is that when even you see somebody is truthfully wrong, do not talk about it. Then how can you talk behind somebody's back when you don't even know if it is truth or not? Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, on October 6, 1905, made this farman, which I have in Urdu. I'll read it and then translate it. He says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. खुदावन ताला भी लोगों के ऐप पर पर्दा डालते हैं, तब तुम्हें भी अपनी जबान से किसी का ऐप जाहिर करना नहीं चाहिए. इस तरह अपनी जबान पाक रखो. All our senses we have to purify. And the strongest sense is our tongue, because we talk bad about people. Whatever comes to our mind, we just give it words. And Maulana says that he being the Imam hides the flaws of others. How can we, being the followers Imam, talk about anybody? There are two types of shaitan. Number one, shaitan is jinni shaitan. Jinni meaning we cannot see, they are invisible. And the way jinn gives us these thoughts, it's called waswasa in Quran. A bad thought, negative thought, a doubt about something, and it will keep repeating it in your mind. That jinn has entered your mind. Not visible, you were not talking to anybody, but a thought has entered in your mind. And Quran talks about it in Surah Nas, chapter 114, verse 4. Min sharril waswasil khannas. From the evil of the sneaking whisperer. He sneaks into our ears, our mind, our heart, and takes away all our earnings, whatever ibadat, whatever zikr we did. That one thought, if it enters and we let it enter, that's it. It's like the example of a milk. If you have a milk and there's a particle of a bad thing enters into it, the whole milk will get spoiled. So let's say the whole 23 hours you were doing zikr, fasting, purifying, doing all good things. And then one thought comes to your mind. And if you give your mind to it, it's all gone. A moment has to be that careful that not a second of that bad thought let it enter. Same surah, verse 5 says, Allazi yuwiswisu fi sudurin nas, जो लोगों के सीनों में वसवसा डालता है, who whispers into the hearts of the mankind. We are going around in our world doing whatever we need to do. One thought which enters into our heart. Now it is so important to keep your heart purified, because the most difficult purification is actually of heart. If our hands are dirty, our body is dirty, we can wash hands, take a bath. But if heart is dirty, nobody sees it. It is very easy to pretend to be a good person filled with bad thoughts, judging others. It is very easy to pretend that. But Imam sees every thought. And when we are sitting in these ilmi classes, it's not about you and me. It's about our heart giving mehmani to our Imam. What are our thoughts when we are listening to these ilm classes and afterwards? How we are thinking about things. Heart has to be purified because it is the only place where Mawla wants to live. If heart is not purified, Mawla is not going to come to that heart. That heart is impurified and Mawla is purest. Paapon ka paap, mera Mawla. He cannot come to that heart. So when we come to these classes, it is very individualized that every one of us reflects and thinks, what are we doing in these classes? Again, coming here feeling good for 1 hour is not serving any purpose. It is truly reflecting and taking the lessons and applying it on ourselves to identify where am I stuck so we can move forward. The next verse in the same surah says, Minal jinnati wan nas. Shaitan has 2 forms, a human form and a jinn form. It is very easy when we say shaitan, we can blame shaitan and take no responsibility of it. Our carnal soul is part of our soul. When a child is born and he feeds on mother's milk, the animal soul enters his body. He learns to behave in an instinctual way. When he's hungry, he's crying. He needs something, throws temper tantrums, and mom gives it to him. That is fulfilling of carnal soul. A child, when he grows up, gets intellect, learns about this knowledge. That nafs, that carnal soul has to be transformed. It cannot be suppressed. It is always there. It is part of us. When we are thirsty, we will get up and go drink water. And that, I would not call it that, animal's instinct. There was a thirst and you fulfilled it. But even that actually is part of the carnal soul. That carnal soul has to be transformed. Nafs-e amara. Nafs-e amara is the carnal soul which has to be transformed into the nafs-e lavama. Nafs-e lavama is the conscious soul. It's the soul which we receive from the Imam. In Urdu we say it zamir. It would knock on your heart if anything is going on wrong. If you're thinking wrong or doing anything wrong, it will knock on our heart. It will give us this consciousness that am I doing the right thing? So the carnal soul, we all have it. We need to transform. Again, I'm sure you must have heard it, that Prophet Muhammad was asked this question that, do you not have this carnal soul? And he said, I do, but that soul has accepted Islam on my hands. Meaning that soul has transformed. That soul has transformed, reformed itself. It has gotten freedom. Freedom from the slavery of the carnal soul. Freedom from the spiritual diseases. A human being, the first thing we have is our body. When a child is born, the first soul which he has is actually vegetative soul. He's laying there, just not moving, vegetative soul. When a mother feeds him milk, he starts getting this animal soul. And it starts behaving based on the instincts. And eventually, slowly, he gets into rational soul, the human soul. He learns about morals, ethics. He gets this ideology, belief system, school of thoughts, religion. Those all things comes later on in the life. Eventually, he gets this soul of faith, Ruhul Iman. Now, Ruhul Iman, a child of let's say 10, 12, 15 years would also have it. but still it is based on blind faith. Why blind faith? Because he just is copying his parents. That Ruhul faith with his intellect has to grow. Everything is in stages. With intellect, he grows and has complete Ruhul Iman, the soul of faith. And he knows he is able to distinguish between right and wrong. Not only that, but he is able to implement on that, work on that. And when we say work on that, it comes always in stages. There are ranks, there are levels. Ilm wali ruh darja badarja upar chadti hai. The soul which has knowledge climbs up step by step. When we are working on this level, this knowledge, we start becoming healthy spiritually. Until we don't learn this knowledge, we are focusing on becoming a good human, having a good morals. That's good. We need to have that. But when we get into true knowledge, we get the intellect which is developing in this direction. And when we walk in this direction, we are able to identify what kind of spiritual diseases I have. Every individual has a different spiritual disease. Our prophet, our imams, they are our role models. There's a verse in the Quran, chapter 33, verse 33, that Allah only wishes to remove all abomination from you, you members of the family, and to make you pure and spotless. How beautifully Allah has talked about the purity of Ahl Bayt. That if we understand these words, that Allah wants to purify the family and make you pure and spotless. And today our intention here, sitting here, what we are saying, eventually we want to be fana in this Iman. We have to be spotless. In order to get to that stage, we do need to reflect in ourselves what kind of spiritual diseases we are having. And we are, Mawla is so meherban, he calls us my beloved spiritual children. When he says that, you know, at a level, if we are able to understand that, when we are his children, we are Ahl Bayt. Potentially. Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, has said that I had affection and love on your soul. That's why you were given birth in this Satpanth religion. He loved our souls. That's why we are given birth in here, in this tariqah. And we are so blessed to be spiritual children of Imam. Now, when we have grown up and we are at this stage sitting in true knowledge classes, if we are still sick due to spiritual diseases, it is going to be very difficult to become spotless, to be one with Mawla. There's a hadith by Prophet Muhammad, he says, Taklaku bi ikhlaqullah. Adopt the manner of God. Not even Prophet, manner of God. There are 99 names of Allah in Quran. These are attributive names, sifati names. These are Isme Azams, beautiful names of Allah, which talks about all the attributions of Allah. And we, being nothing, full of flaws, if we truly want to be one with Imam, the expectation from us, the desire of our Imam is to have these attributions in ourselves so we can be one with him. It's a very high target, but we are so blessed to have the prayers of Imam, his love, his affection, his mercy. We are able to do this. We are able to do this. There is no doubt that we cannot. You know, Maula is so Rahman. In Quran, there's a verse that he does not burden any soul more than what he or she can tolerate. So today, if we are very few in here today's class and we have this desire to be one with Imam, we have potentially accepted that we want to do this, we have the capability, and this thought, this desire in heart is a proof that we are able to take this mission in our hand. We can become Momin Salik, a Momin who walks on this path to be finally one with Imam.